us. But Jacqie, just wanted to ask. I know, we've been going back and forth with this, and you and I talked, I think, in the fall. I mean, what was the main concern, I guess, other than keeping the athletes safe? The cost of testing, I imagine, is something you guys talked about.
Yeah, John, that's it. What's interesting is we know that there was going to be some financial obligations, and our schools were prepared when they made the decision to have the season to help with the financial obligations and managing COVID. And we knew it wouldn't be easy, but I think ultimately, I work with scholars, right? And they are watching the data, and we're watching the data and the impact that it's having in the communities, but also the stop and go that's happening in communities. And as I've heard many of our presidents say, even myself, like, we want this to happen, but we don't see a clear pathway to do it without being able to protect our student athletes, to protect our community, and the financial concerns that could come along with it with the stop and go. And so I definitely feel like very well thought out, various opinions, but the reality is that there are some concerns with this COVID without a vaccine and the impact that it could have at our institutions, in our different institutions based on where they're located, and the opportunity to complete a season.
And we've seen. I actually wrote about it today. We've seen the Division I, and they're struggling to even get games going on. Was that also kind of a reality check for you guys, even though you're Division II? But if they're struggling to even get the games going on, it would be tough for you guys as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, what I love about our conference, though, John, and we said this in the beginning of COVID, I mean, we're going to pay attention to what everybody else is doing, but we're going to make the best decision for our conference because, the reality is we really wanted to play, and we were prepared to have a season. And yeah, we are watching everyone across the country, as hard as it is to watch other teams play and know that they're having challenges. We're not going to be we're still going to have those challenges ourselves. So we're aware of that. But I think, the data and what we have in front of us based in our own communities and what we're watching, it's still concerning. And, we have a responsibility as leaders in higher education to protect the well-being of our communities and students, particularly where African-American, historically Black colleges and universities. We have a responsibility. This is a tough one, though.
And the financial impact on the conference, I know the tournament, you guys, the money that comes in from the tournament pays for a lot of things, but it also gets scholarships to kids. I mean, what are the financial impacts on the conference specifically?
Yeah, definitely there will be some financial impact. I mean, with losing football, though it's not the biggest ticket that we have, it still has a revenue implication for even campuses with rivalries. And same thing for regular season. Tournament is 60% of our budget. It helps us with all of the operations for our championships. The great thing is that we started out in this COVID, starting in May when we built budgets, to build budgets for the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, and the mid in the road of the scenario. So we're not, at least what I know based on what we put together for our board, even the last board meeting, that there's no surprises of what it would look like if we didn't have a tournament. And we have built enough equity and gotten rid of some things in order to manage. And there's an investment from our institutions. They still pay their dues. They're still paying part of their assessment to keep the conference whole. And we still have some agreements with partners that want to stay in to support the conference moving forward. So we're blessed at this point to have the partners that we have in our member institutions.
And is it, Jacqie, is going to be up to the individual schools if they do want to play games, and they would obviously have to pay for the referees themselves and the whole 9 yards? I mean, is it going to be kind of a case-by-case basis? Because I know some coaches want to play a few games, even if it's not CIAA games, but are you leaving that up to the individual schools?
We are not. I mean, this is a unified decision from the board in the conference, particularly for the board that wants to make sure. We know that there are schools that want to play in May. I mean, Lincoln is playing already. They have some games they're going to complete. And the board wants those schools that currently have games prior to January to make those commitments if they choose to. But when we get to January in the regular season, there will not be any teams playing in the CIAA.
Will they be able to practice? Are you guys going to let them to practice, or is that going to be up to individuals?
Yeah, that would be up to the individual institutions, what they do for regular, what you would do. And if you have students on campus for your CARA, for activities, they would have to manage that. And our compliance from our office to theirs will have to manage that on what they're doing on workouts and other things. But as far as it related to games and exhibition games, that won't happen.
That won't happen. And I know, what do you think is the hardest part about this? In my mind, I'm thinking about the kids, and I know they want to play, and they're sick of being cooped up since March. I mean, is that kind of the biggest thing in your mind, that these kids can't play basketball?
Absolutely, John. I've been in this conference and played in this conference since I was 18, right? And so this is the first out of 75 years that we will not have a basketball tournament.
Wow.
And that these young people, particularly seniors, will not get to experience unless they choose to come back and opt in for another year.
Right.
And so some may choose to graduate and some may choose to stay for an extra year. They'll have that opportunity. And so I'm like you, I feel for them. This is not what anybody wants to do. And this is a job. This is my job, right? I get to work in college athletics to create championship experiences. And my staff and I are on the sidelines waiting to play, and we can't. And so, and it's not because of us, it's because of COVID-19.
And the spring sports, the other that you guys kind of pushed back, there's a possibility of still playing those in spring. You guys just haven't made a decision on
Yeah,
those.
we haven't made a decision. I think they're just being, just like we've done, we waited for fall. Volleyball will not take place either. So we moved that to the spring. So that won't happen, but the rest of the spring sports, we'll evaluate that as we get into the new year.
Because I forgot, last year was the 75th tournament, wasn't it? That's crazy. I forgot about that. Well, one more thing, Jacqie, I'll let you go. I mean, what kind of reaction do you think? I mean, I'm sure some of the coaches are going to be upset, and but it really, you guys have to be a team in this conference, don't you?
Yeah, this and John, you've seen all the decisions that we've made, particularly since I've been here, and all the hits we've had since I've been here. And the one thing that I'm really proud about this conference, even if we have there's different opinions and leadership across the board, the one thing about this conference is that they're unified. Okay. And they really believe in doing things together for the brand and the health of the conference, but also for their student athletes. And so, I don't think we ever make any bad decisions. I think it may not be popular decisions, but we're not in here for popularity. We're here to lead, and to lead with risk, and to lead with opportunities. And so I feel for our coaches too. I coached as well.
Right.
And so I can understand what they're feeling and what they want and what they desire to have. But I do believe that our board made the best decision at this point based on what we know.
And do all the ADs know now? I mean, did you guys let everybody know?
They should know.
Okay. And then they'll tell their coach, right.
Yeah.
And they'll tell their coaches, and the coaches will obviously relay.
And we won't release until 5. So that's
right,
where
right.
Even them to know, just hold on to it until we get the release out. But we can't control that either. So
right. Well, no, you guys, you've always been good to me. I'm waiting until 4:50 to do anything. I won't even tweet anything. So I'm just gonna
Thank you, John.
wait. And I know it was hard on you guys to figure this out. And I know the chancellors and presidents, they just kind of waited and hoped for the best. But I'm already looking forward. I already miss it, and I know I haven't even played any games yet. So, but I appreciate it. You guys stay safe, and thanks for your time, Jacqie. And we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, John. Happy holidays to you and yours. And appreciate you.
You take care of that daughter.
I will. Thank you.
Bye.